Hey, whoa, what's all that? There we are. Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It's me, John Park. It's time for JP's product pick of the week. And this is a fun one. I've got some cool demos to show you today, so I'm excited that you could come by and we could check this out together. First of all, thank you for stopping by in the chat. If you're wondering where our chat is at, you can go check out our Discord. It's over at adafruit.it/Discord. That's what it looks like right there. Hello with the waves. Hey there, who we got? C. Grover, some nice. Dexter, Mike P0451, Blitz City DIY, hello. Thanks for stopping by. And I'm also keeping an eyeball at YouTube chat over there, which has Beata de Graaf of Dalhagen, Andrew Farnsworth, Dave Odessa, hello. Jason Halloway, hi, hey, thanks for stopping by. Dave is just going to grab a coffee. Excellent, hope you got that. Hi, Jeff Hunt. Hello, welcome. What do we have here? The thrust of this show is I actually have two product picks. It's a twofer, not twofer, you don't get two for free, but we're covering two different product picks, related product picks today. And you can get them during the show for an enormous discount, 50% off for these product picks. We've stashed a bunch of them right before the show so that we have them on hand. If you want to go check them out, you can head to these URLs right here. I only have one QR code, but the two URLs right here, product 5745 and 5957, go to those URLs, and you will see that this show is embedded in the product page. The new price is represented right there. It's just been cut in half. And you don't need a coupon code. Just throw it in your cart. Maximum of 10 per customer, no resellers allowed. And do that before the end of the show. Check out before the end of the show. We set the price back up a little bit after this runs. So that's how it works. And then, as is tradition, I like to have Lady Ada come on and talk about our new product picks. So here are a couple of her new segments when these came out. Take it away, Lady Ada.
Socks. It's a DVI sock.
That's right.
The DVI sock is based off of Ren 6339, I think is his name, is a circuit developer for the Raspberry Pi Foundation or trading company. And they designed this sock to demo the Raspberry Pi Pico's DVI output, which means it can drive HDMI monitors. And we have a DVI Cowbell, but once in a while you really just want to make a very simple board that has just DVI output. You don't want to have a whole thingamajig. So this is basically a version of the sock. It's just a slight modification to the design, but it has the same pinouts. So as you can see here, the easiest way to use it is you actually solder your Pico or your PiCowbell, either will work, onto the end there. And then it's got the 8 GPIO on the bottom. Pins 12 through 16 are used for the 3 lanes of TDMS output, and then the clock differential pair as well. Even though you're supposed to connect the 5-volt pin, turns out you don't have to, although it is brought out. You can see on the side, the CEC, the util, the 5-volt, and the ground pins are separated out if you so wish to connect to them and read the EEPROM on the monitor, which again, we don't do on the RP2040. We tend to just set the output to be 640 by 480 or whatever, and just pipe data out. But it's a low cost board, simple board, just to add DVI output for your Pico, and again, solder onto the end, or you can use pin headers if you wish. Either way, you can make it plug and play.
Something we've been talking about all night.
That's right, the DVI out. PiCowbell. We're making more PiCowbells. You've got a Raspberry Pi Pico or PiCowbell. You want to add stuff to it. These are the same size and shape. You plug it in, and Bob's your uncle. You have cool stuff. You can get video output.
Look at this.
We have actually now, this is an Arduino demo. This is Arduino drawing to a 320 by 240 16-bit color.
Look at this.
Frame buffer that is output over DVI, which means you can plug it into any HDMI monitor. You got your Pico.
This is the demo everyone likes.
You want sprites drawing. You want flying toasters. You want a after dark aquarium. We've got that as well. You want
I want to zoom in on.
You want to zoom in on the toasters.
I want to zoom in on the toasters.
Go into the toasters. That's the aquarium.
All right.
Toasters. There you go. All output from the Raspberry Pi Pico because it's got these PIO and secondary core, and you can have that do this DVI bit banging. Very neat. So we've got support in Arduino that uses this frame buffer, and this is all these demos were in Arduino. So it's in the Pico DVI fork that's in the tutorial. We also actually, as of like last week, have CircuitPython support as well. So if you would like to have CircuitPython running on your Pico or your Pico W, and also draw to a DVI HDMI monitor, you can do it. And we're trying to see people do like cool, weird things with it. We've got our all-in-one DVI feather. If you don't need the Pico shape, you want to use feather wings. But for those who have like a Pico or Pico W, this is like the right footprint. It uses 8 I/O pins for the red, green, blue, positive, negative, and then clock. It also has connections to the SCL, SDA, I2C interface through HDMI, which means that you can read the EDID on the monitor, which is good. You can see like what kind of monitor is attached, although you can only really output 640 by 480, which is pixel doubled 320 by 240. Still really fun. I mean, you can like now very easily do
This could be our show.
displaying. Yes, we're in a fish tank. It's much easier now than ever to display to HDMI monitors. It used to be you needed an FPGA to do this, or like a VGA bitbank converter, whatever. All these demos work really wonderfully, easily.
I want this. This is what I want.
So one thing is like, why not just use a Raspberry Pi? These are instant on, like they turn on instantly. You don't have to worry about a disk drive. They're solid state. So there are definitely, there's analog inputs, and you can use like I2C very easily and connect like PWM and servos.
Here's a picture of the product. I guess I should say that one.
Oh yeah, this is what it looks like. So you will want headers to solder it into the Raspberry Pi Pico. We have some suggestions, and it uses a mini HDMI, just FYI, because the full size would fit. It like literally was not enough space.
Yeah.
But we have mini HDMI to HDMI adapters and also mini HDMI connectors available. So check this out. It's in the shop now.
Yes, yes, yes. Check these out. So these are my dual, well, there it goes. These right here. These are my dual product picks of the week this week. It is the Pico DVI sock and the Pico DVI PiCowbell. These are for sending digital video out of your Pico, Raspberry Pi Pico microcontroller, over these HDMI-shaped and mini HDMI-shaped connectors using DVI, digital video, to your monitor, your HDMI/DVI ported monitor. So these are pretty cool because they can take your $4 Pico, or what's a Pico W, $6, $8, I'm not sure, but this inexpensive microcontroller board, which can output DVI video. The sock just goes on the bottom right there, just like a nice warm sock. The PiCowbell can use header pins to go right on top, go side by side. We have a few configurations for those, and I'll show you those. And what those do is they give us the ability in both Arduino and now in CircuitPython to send out video. Now, this doesn't have sound, and we have limited memory, but you can do some pretty interesting graphics demos. You can do terminal types of things. We have some projects that show Adafruit I/O data on a big monitor, big, huge monitor, however big you want, as well as sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? The scene. What's the graphics scene of your demo scene? Like demo scene style graphics you can do. In fact, you can see one right here. This is a little bit blown out from the light. In fact, I'll turn off the light for a second. That didn't help. Made it worse, maybe. But this is a sort of spirograph that Toddbot created, and that's running in CircuitPython. I'll show you some of the code behind that in a moment. And then on another one of these, I have, I should say, the one that's plugged in right there, that little spirograph. You can see it nice right here. I will do a little overhead shot of it. Let me clear some things out of the way so you can see it right there. So there's the Pico, and I've just soldered it to this DVI sock, just using sort of the castellated pads there. And let me show that screen again so you can see behind me. So if you see the little spirographs right there, if I unplug HDMI, that goes away. If I plug in that HDMI cable, Now we get the DVI video out as soon as my monitor accepts it. And that is running right there. I'm going to show you a little, while you can see that, I'll show you a little bit of the code behind this. So here, let's see, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that pretty well. Get this down a little lower. Here you can see the kind of key things are that we're importing Pico DVI library and the frame buffer IO. Then we're setting up our display here. The frame buffer is the Pico DVI frame buffer. We've got a 320 by 240 pixel screen, and then we have these 8 pins that are being used, as well as setting the color depth. And then this display object is the frame buffer IO display. Then when we go and do sort of natural, normal graphic output that you do on any display, could be the same stuff you're using on little TFTs, we are writing instead to this right here. So if you take a look, I'll just change the colors here. How about we add red in to the palette that's being used here? We'll get some interesting results here when it pops back up. Oh, you can't really see that on my screen too well. It's doing too much. Can I fix you? What if I hide? No. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, you can't really see that at all. But what you can see, let me switch things up a little bit. I'll go back over to this screen here, is the projector behind me. So what I've got here is the sock. No, not the sock, the Cowbell. So I've got the Cowbell on a little Pico doubler side by side there. And in fact, I'm running this off of a battery, so you can see the only cables coming out of it, only a singular cable coming out of that right there is the HDMI going through a little micro or a mini HDMI adapter. And if you look behind me, there we've got that Flying Toasters demo. So that's playing right there. So look, unplug, plug that in. I've just got a little projector there. And, oh, I've angered it. Did I turn it off? Did I just run out of battery? Let's plug that into power. Hold on. What did I do? There it is. I don't know if that was the battery dying or not. No, I don't think it was. I think it was just my HDMI cable there. So you can see we got the nice Flying Toaster demo running there right off of that little PiCowbell version of the DVI output. And so what's the deal with these? Let's take a look at a couple of images here. So you can see on the top there is the DVI sock, and that just has the 8 pins and power, or actually I think 2 of those are ground, that we need to output the video. And that's about it. It has a full-size HDMI connector, which is kind of nice, so you can just shank that into something and it'll work great. The PiCowbell has some additions to it. So you can see there it's full-size. We get a duplicate of all of the pins. So if you have one of these mounted, either it can go on top of or under your Pico, you'll have access to those pins there if you want to solder on buttons and LEDs and other I/O kinds of things. You can still do that. Also adds a reset button. We have a Stemma QT output there, and we have a GPIO pin 3 slide switch, so you could go between a couple of modes on things. Whatever you want to code that to do, you can do. Is that it? Yeah, so that's the main differences between, and there's a couple other pins broken out for the HDMI there as well, so you can do some interesting things like find out what your display settings are, because that can be communicated back. So there's a few extra HDMI types of things that you can do with that. So here's a kind of a neat one here. I've got, this is the Pico. I've got the sock there, and then I also have a little battery shim. This is a Pimeroni battery shim. And what I'll do, give me a moment here. I'm going to take the demo off of this one, plug that in. I'm going to cover this Flying Toasters for a second so we know what we're looking at. So plug this into the HDMI, and then since I have a little battery in the battery shim there, I can just turn that on, and that should wake up this monitor here and send out a demo. There's the little Max Headroom TV host demo that Phil Burgess did, Paint Your Dragon did a little while ago. And that is running right off of their tiny little sort of HDMI shank, DVI shank sort of thing. And in fact, you can get some pretty short, we have some of these little short flat cables, so you could maybe bundle up something like that and just stick that into a monitor as you go through your day and you get tired of your monitor being blank or running the Netflix logo or whatever all the time. You can plug in your little TV host demo right there. And I actually haven't tested. I'm not sure how long that'll run off of that little battery. That's just a 350 milliamp hour battery. But kind of a neat little portable thing if you just need to do some sort of art project type of video out. Yeah, that is JP Headroom. Toddbot got that right. There was some images, photos I took for Phil there to make that. And just so you know that it's real, if I take my projector here that currently has the screensaver after dark style screensaver, take that Pico right there, plug it into the sock, and we should get a much bigger, hey, it's almost life size, isn't it? Kind of Max Headroom demo. Sorry about the things blocking that there. Let me see, I have another light on I can turn off. Let's see if that'll. There we go. That's like almost true to life right there. So yeah, why don't we leave it like that? Let me see. But before I move too quickly to the end, let's take a look at a couple things here in the browser. So here you can see these are the two products. So one is the PiCow DVI output for Pico, and right now that is half price during the show for $3.48. And then we have the DVI sock, which is only $1.48. Either of those will let you output the video, so it just depends on which form factor you need for your project. And you can see we've got the Learn Guides here. This one's from Liz on the PiCowbell, and we have some assembly instructions. There's different ways that you can stack that. I kind of like this side-by-side arrangement. I use that for feathers a lot with the feather boards, and now we have these Pico doublers that you can use that for. And this will give you info on setting this up for CircuitPython and Arduino. We have some nice sample code for both. The PiCowbell Proto brick plates are a 3D printing project from the Ruiz brothers that lets you take this whole thing and stick it to your Lego bricks. Here is the sock guide, which also by Liz has CircuitPython and Arduino guides for it. And this one, you can use pins, header pins if you want, or you can, this one's pretty easy to solder the castellated pads to these wider pads right here. And this one's nice, it's got the full-size HDMI. And then this is a pretty cool guide by Phil Burgess that is just called Pico DVI Arduino Library, and this takes you through a bunch of great examples, how to set it up. I'm going to update some of the code because we just had it, I think, set up for the Feather. And if you're going to use this with the DVI Cowbell, there's one line of code you'll change that I've listed here for the config. That's all this does is just configure which pins you're going to use. Same with the sock. So Pico sock config there. And these are, I think, yeah, just slightly different if you're doing some of the 1-bit DVI, not DVD, but DVI bounce logos. Some Nice has a question. I don't know the answer to this. Can you combine overlay multiple DVI signals? That is a great question. If anyone in the chat has experience with that, please let us know. But this will go through, and maybe some of the answers are in here. I think some of the details of how this works are in this guide in particular by Phil Burgess. And DJ Devon 3 says, you can if you use it with something like OBS. Does the sock interfere with the Wi-Fi antenna on the Pico W? I think you could solder it under instead of over. The sock can kind of go above or below. You could also use header pins to give yourself some distance. I would leave the antenna on the top of the W. Maybe put the sock on the bottom. Good question. And of course, you also don't have to. You could use breadboard wiring or other methods to get these two things separate from each other. So these could be wired kind of flexibly anywhere you want, on a breadboard, on a permaproto board, just with air wiring, however you want. Yeah, so these are some nice examples here that you can check out, give you some details. And if Toddbot, yeah, so if you take a look, Toddbot in our Discord posted this link to screensavers. So these are some experiments that he's done with some different screensavers, as well as some, let's see, where'd they go? Where are your DVI output ones? There's some other sketches there, so maybe Todd will post those up in the Discord. Some of the examples I showed there, like that spirograph that was running. So I think that covers it. Yeah, let me know if you have other questions, hopefully ones I can answer. Jeff Hunt said, would this allow me to display a web page on a monitor like from a web server? I think it should. In fact, one Learn guide I didn't show has probably got the best example for this. Let's do DVI sock, or is it the PiCowbell? DVI PiCowbell. This Pico DVI Adafruit IO feed dashboard. This was a project by the Rees brothers and Liz, and this allows you to display Adafruit IO data up on screen. So you can check that one out. It's just learn.adafruit.com/DVI-IO. I don't think there's a generalized render a web page over DVI for Pico example out there, but I think this one takes some of the data that comes from the feed and uses it to create these graphics and adjust these graphics. But someone correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a simpler way to display web page information. Frankie Boy Power Care asks, where can I purchase the Pico DVI sock and PiCowbell? Well, I'm glad you asked. Go to Adafruit.com and look for these two products. DVI sock, DVI cowbell, Adafruit.com. And yeah, DJ Devon 3, thank you, mentioned that in this video, this live stream, there should be links in the description there. If I put them there, I think I did. Thank you. Charles Andrews, isn't there 5-volt available from monitor HDMI? I think Lamore looked into this, and no, I don't think you could sort of siphon 5 volts from the monitor. It's actually the other direction. I think the device has 5 volts flowing from it, so this needs to be the powered thing. I don't know what that 5 volts is used for, but I think we were kind of wondering, hey, can we make one that's just phantom powered by the monitor? And I don't believe that's the case. But correct us if we're wrong, or if anyone has any information about that. One nice thing is that a lot of monitors these days have a USB port or multiple USB ports, so you can, if you ever look at like a Roku stick, those will have, this is basically that sort of arrangement. It'll have an HDMI port with a short cable, and it'll have a USB port, and you can get your power right from the TV itself. More common in a television set versus a monitor, but actually no, that's not true. You have a lot of monitors that do USB ports in them to extend things like your mouse and keyboard. So that's probably the best way, but I don't think you can leach the 5 volts off of the monitor over the HDMI. Okay, I think that covers it. So why don't we wrap this up? Don't forget, you can head to these 2 URLs. That's also an answer to your question there, Frankie Boy Power Care. Those 2 URLs, that one QR code will get you to one of them. And I think that is it. So let's wrap this up. These are my product picks this week. It is the Pico DVI sock and the DVI PiCowbell to display video over DVI from your Pico. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been JP's product pick of the week. Bye.